Hello and welcome back to Main Dorgan TV. Today we're going to be going into some Mechabellum gameplay. So this is what I would describe as one of the cleanest uses I've found for Elite Specialist. And so as you can see up here, I am Elite Specialist. And just as a reminder of what that does, Elite Specialist gives me extra supplies in the first round, and then allows me to immediately recruit level 2 units. Now, why is this important? Level 2 units usually carry double the health and double the attack of its level 1 counterparts. And so as you can see here, I'm starting by unlocking some chaff, and I'm building a marksman, a level 2 marksman, just because I see my opponent has a lot of chaff, but I cannot actually afford a sledgehammer, and I wasn't really interested in buying level 2 crawlers. My opponent is heavy armor specialist, giving them a little bit extra, so I feel a little bit worse about buying this marksman. And I'm going for one of the classic combos in Mechabellum, which is Marksman Sledgehammer. So as you can see here, sledgehammers are too far out to the sides initially to be able to defend our marksmen from the crawlers, so that is very unfortunate, as it does take out both of my marksmen on the left side, and allows the flood to come in, whereas on the right side, my sledgehammers were able to deal with the chaff, and then the marksmen were a little less vulnerable. But realistically, with Elite Specialist, I'm not looking to win the first round. But here I see items are very potent on Elite Specialist, and so I'm picking it up and immediately buying a pack of level 2 sledgehammers. Now, sadly I don't have much money, but I do have enough to get my 2 purchases for the round. My goal almost always as Elite Specialist is to make 2 purchases every single round, and so here I just cover up the area that was most vulnerable with my sledgehammers, and then I beef up the other side with marksmen. When playing a little more control-y like this, I like to play very symmetrically. I know there are a lot of advantages to playing asymmetrically in Mechabellum, but I prefer the symmetrical gameplay. So, as you can see here, these sledgehammers are level 2, they have 6,500 health apiece versus 3,200, and so with the portable shield, we're getting insane amounts of value and allowing the break to pretty intensely on this left side. So, as you can see, even in one round, it's such a dramatic turn, and keeping all of those marksmen alive gives me a lot of extra killing power. As we move into round 3, I see intensive training and speed specialist. These are both very strong abilities. However, when I look at my supply total, it's currently at 600, and I really want to beef up my front line, so buying any of these would put me below 600, and so I had to make a tough decision to skip here in order to build 2 sledgehammers. Just continuing to impact my front line, as they seem to only be building chaff, a lot of chaffy units, things that are easily eaten by sledgehammers. Thankfully, Mustangs get countered pretty well by sledgehammers, so if I just build more, I can anticipate a tech switch from my opponent, but I also need to establish my front line, as the marksmen aren't getting too much value just yet. And so, as you can see, my opponent is setting up for another classic Mechabellum combo, the Steel Ball Mustang, but I am surprised that after 3 rounds they still haven't bought any Steel Balls. It's honestly because they didn't start with them, they're just don't have the money to fund it, but as you can see here, the sledgehammers are doing phenomenal work on clearing through the Mustangs as if they were bangs or crawlers, just really working their way through them, and then eventually working towards the marksmen. And so the marksmen are struggling to kill these level 2 sledgehammers because of how much health they have, especially with these barriers. That allows them to tank that extra shot, which makes a world of difference in this matchup where we are a little light on chaff. So, moving into round 4, I'm starting to think about Incendiary Bomb and I'm thinking it's very good against my opponent, but it's not as impactful as I need it to be. Right now we just need to be, with Elite Specialist, a lot of times money is king, getting your 2 purchases every round is important, and I know that I really need to start transitioning into Mechanical Rage. That's a huge power spike for Sledgehammers, and so I decided to skip again this round and go for that huge power spike. I also noticed that if I bought Mechanical Rage, I could still buy a Sledgehammer, a Marksman, and then upgrade my Sledgehammer and Marksman. So in terms of money, we're working almost as efficiently as we possibly can to build out this, what seems to be very simple but is extremely effective. A small little touch here. I moved these central pack 1 set back. This will help stagger the overall shots of our front line, as well as establish a concave. Establishing a concave is a strong presence in real-time strategy games, but it's not as talked about here. By establishing a concave, you're always allowed to shoot in and focus on whatever's in the middle, while your opponent has to spread their damage all the way across. And so even as this fight breaks out, you can see now we've just established 2 smaller concaves. And so that's very good in terms of positioning and in terms of overall where damage is being placed. Moving into this 5th round, Senior Defense Specialist does look very juicy, but it costs so much money, and I just need to hit my upgrades, I need to hit all my items, and so I opt for a Nano Repair Kit. And here I look around and I try and find the Sledgehammer that's the closest to leveling up, just a little bit of min-maxing. And then, same as last round, buy a Sledgehammer, buy a Marksman, buy an upgrade. Just slow and steady. It's a very consistent process. We're probably set on people, so now that we've established a front line and a back line, we can now start working our way towards the tech. Looking at something like range here, armor enhancement's great against their Mustangs and Crawlers, but the steel balls we did expect at some point, so this is where the Marksman range is going to come in handy a lot. Another thing to note, our opponent had been sitting on a 250 cost item for a long time when it really should have been placed on a pack of Mustangs. As you can see, they still haven't placed it, and that would likely help to favor their combat a lot. And so here our Nano is really kind of healing up that single Sledgehammer that got damaged down. We're absolutely tearing through their front line, just because of the sheer value we're generating by playing clean. And as you can see, little wins here or there end up leading to the victory, and so we end up taking the game before the opponent can pivot into a late game strategy. So that's about the cleanest I've ever played Marksman Sledgehammer and the most effectively I've ever used Elite Specialist. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Please feel free to follow for more content, and I appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much.